कि यार मुझे तो सब आता है, मेरे को सामने वाला क्या बताएगा. That was where I was coming from. Then I realized when I was reading, Roger Federer needs a coach.
Yes, exactly.
Cristiano Ronaldo needs a coach.
Yes.
Then who are we?
There is a word for it in Japanese, which is ikigai.
Ikigai,
right? You find. So if you find your ikigai, which is your passion, and it also allows you to earn some money, and also allows you to grow in the industry and be recognized for that.
Midlife crisis जो है, and where people find it difficult कि अभी you become a managing director. Most people don't. They kind of get stuck in that middle management. तो आप क्या सोचते हो कि क्या कारण है कि आप you get stuck there? Why?
And that's how when I was talking to the HR team, we got to understand more about people mapping, right? Understanding what is their inner psyche, and this is where the psychometric tests helped us to understand which way can they go. And after a couple of years, because there might be people who might say, hey, you could have done this better, and you probably might have been comfortable there, but remember that there will be some discomfort.
Hi Suhas.
Hi.
Welcome to Ink Stories.
Thanks.
So this is a podcast that I've started, and I've been trying to meet with a lot of people from the printing industry, and I'm happy I'm meeting my old friend from DuPont, whom I've known for 20 years, though we've not kept so much in touch. So it's so nice to host you on this. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Sujit, and thanks for inviting me. It's good to reconnect, first of all, with you, and good to know also what the journey that you've taken, and where you are right now, and I see your passion for connecting with people also through this podcast. And I think it's an amazing vehicle also to connect.
Yes, I think it's a wonderful way to connect with people, getting an opportunity to meet with people. Otherwise, you had no reason to meet.
Correct.
You're getting to chew someone's brain for half an hour or so.
Yes.
So great. Right. So it's an opportunity to speak to you. So I want to start with, you had an amazing journey, right from an engineer to managing director of a large multinational firm. I think we need to start from there, because there are so many youngsters out there getting into the industry in various verticals. Probably we are focused in the printing packaging industry. ये journey होता कैसे, and how did you navigate this journey? So let's start from there.
So I did my engineering, of course, I graduated in 1991-92 batch. I completed engineering in printing technology from Pune, of course. PVG, College of Engineering. And we at that moment of time, we thought there was only two ways: you either start working or you do your MBA. So as any other person would do, I also applied for MBA, and I got my admission in MBA as well. But then my dad, who was the chief executive at that time, he came and said, why don't you try working for a couple of years, before you start doing your MBA. And then we used to have this campus interviews on those time, and you can appear only for one. Achha. If you get selected, then you cannot appear for the next one.
Achha.
And there was only one company which was pending, because I hadn't appeared for the earlier ones.
Okay.
And this was a new greenfield project.
Okay.
It was a Junjunwala project.
Okay.
Company was called UE Fort.
Related with Rakesh Junjunwala, or?
Yes, the Junjunwala project. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was also into manufacturing. I thought he was only into stock.
No, he was an investor.
In this.
He was an investor in this. It was backed by him. Yeah.
Okay.
This company was called UE Fort Metalizers, which later on got taken over by Sharp Industries.
Which is Sharp Metalizers now.
Sharp, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this was a greenfield project into flexible packaging.
Which year are we talking about?
92.
92.
Yeah, right. 1992. Yeah, it's been 32 years now. So got from college and we got selected. There were 4 of us who were selected in this job as management trainees, and because I liked it because it was a greenfield project, although I did not like because they said it was gravure. Because I had done my environmental study as well, and I found that gravure still was using a lot of VOC chemicals even those days. Even now some, but I think now there is a lot of drive to come out of that. Non-toluene and all this. So I chose to get into that. Excellent project, excellent learning, but it was gravure. Set up a fantastic line on Cheruti, gravure machines with inline lamination and metallizer. It was a Galileo metallizer. Now no longer Galileo. It is owned by Bobst.
Okay.
It's called Bobst. So and then went into that. But out of the 4 of us, I think only 2 of us actually joined that company finally. And it was, I think at that point of time, the best paid job from campus. 7,500 rupees per month. So I said, okay, let's take this. And plus accommodation, plus conveyance from factory to home. So it was nice. So
as a fresh engineer, feel like a lot lag gaya.
Yeah. But the key thing there was, getting your hands on the machine, and they gave us free access to that, and we learned a lot over those next 2.5-3 years. Hands-on operation on machines, running a printing machine, running a metallizer, as an engineer. In fact, when I started the job, the first 3 months, my boss put me in the metallizing unit. So for 3 months, I was just looking at the density of aluminium which was being deposited. So I said, sir, I'm a printing engineer. I want to see the printing machine, So he said, leke jayenge. So he took us there. So finally we moved there. And so a lot of hands-on approach, And I think that learning, going from there, and then I had an opportunity to join a British company who was also setting up a greenfield project in Goa.
So before you get there, that was your first job. So what is a thing that you remember कि मैंने ये सीखा वो मेरे पहले job में, which I am carrying it till date while I head a large multinational. So what is it, if you have something which would be helpful for the young engineers who are getting into the job market?
Yeah, I think 2 things. One thing which I realized was, because gravure as a technology was not new. It's been there for a long time, right? So the people who were running the machine, we call them operators. I wouldn't like to call them that, but these are people who are running the machine.
Correct.
And at that point of time, where people who were doing that for last 20-25 years, and probably that's the only thing they have done in their whole life, and they are probably not even graduates, So they felt that we are giving them a threat to their job. So one of the first things I learned was to give respect to their job, and also their entire experience. Because when he might be saying it in chaste Hindi, but he's actually saying something which is giving you a lot of information. Insight, right? So you translate that into what it means in terms of technology, and then convert that into ensuring that you can apply that information and make sure that productivity also is increased, So for example, registration, which is the biggest,
correct,
the biggest issue in printing, right? Printing. When you want to set up the job. So that's how it started. So one thing was give respect to their experience. Once you give respect, then they open up, and then they are able to, connect with you. Then that was one. And number 2 was have no inhibitions of working hands-on. So that was the first thing I learned.
Good.
Getting onto the machine.
Good hands-on. Yeah. I think any young engineer, they need to be thinking about, first you need to respect that experience that these guys have, and secondly, don't feel bad to, मैं engineer हूँ मैं नहीं कर सकता.
Exactly.
You have to be as hands-on like an operator.
In fact, we had uniform in those days. Of course, in any company you have uniform, and my shirt and trousers, we were trying to not have ink on it, but we had a lot of ink, So finally, it ended up that we had a lot of spots of ink on the uniform, and all of the uniform sets had a lot of ink specks on it. But over a period of time, you started feeling proud of it.
Right.
You start feeling proud of wearing that uniform. You've been there.
Correct.
And you're still doing it. And when required, you can always do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. So you were talking about the British company, your next.
Yeah, so that was an opportunity when that came. There was a British company called Courtaulds.
Okay.
And Courtaulds came into India and they wanted to set up a greenfield project for laminate tubes.
Okay.
This was 94, 95.
So they were trying to compete with SL Propac?
Yes,
that space,
yes,
yeah.
Okay. They saw the market space, and of course,
India is growing.
Yeah, Courtaulds as a company was very large in the UK, and they had a packaging business unit, which was into aluminium tubes and also laminate tubes in UK, and they had also expanded into US at that point of time, and then they wanted to come into Asia. And in Asia, they were very clear they wanted to have one plant in India, one plant in Indonesia, and one plant in China.
Sure.
So all three plants were almost at the same time. So I got an opportunity to actually be a part of that team, to go through the team in Goa, set up the plant in Goa, and also visit Surabaya, where the plant was in Indonesia. And also visit Pudong in China at that point of time.
Okay.
Yeah, so very good. And this was also the first time that Courtaulds was coming into the technology of laminate tubes and using UV flexography for printing.
Okay.
So in 1995, UV flexographic printing was nowhere heard of in India.
Okay.
And there were probably one or two people who were doing it.
Okay.
Most of the laminate, or in fact all laminate tubes, were printed by letterpress.
Achha.
Yeah. So even Courtaulds in UK or even SL in India or elsewhere were printing with letterpress, which is UV letterpress.
Okay.
Yeah. So we came in with Flexo, and that's what excited me, because I always knew that Flexo is the key, because I did a lot of research during my engineering.
So Flexo was coming into the global market in that era, or it was coming into India in that era?
It was coming into Asia in that era.
Okay.
Into Asia.
Okay.
So in the US, it was probably it had seen its.
And that was your also first interaction with Flexo, and which made you the Flexo man that you are today for the last 30 odd years. Huh?
Okay. And I moved there by choice. I mean, I knew that versus gravure, Flexo has its own benefits. And I had done this research when I was in my engineering, and I still have the thesis book with me.
Okay.
And then I knew Flexo was more environmentally friendly, more faster, and so on. So when this opportunity came up, I took that choice.
Okay. Yeah. So then further ahead, which was you were always in Flexo, or how was the journey?
Yeah. So since then, it's most of the time always somehow been connected with the flexographic printing business.
Okay.
And the industry.
So if I had to ask you, like from a young engineer's perspective, कि मैं एक segment में stick रहूँ, like you stuck in Flexo, or should I kind of get a hang of all the printing methods or printing technologies or whatever? So what would be the right way? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah. So. And I think I told you I'm also an executive coach.
Yeah. Right? We want to get to that.
Yeah. So one of the things I find is it's okay to explore.
Yeah.
But then you find your sweet spot. The reason I mentioned executive coach is because in coaching there is also a term that we use where you find your best position in
sweet
life.
Spot?
Sweet spot, you can say. There is a word for it in Japanese, which is ikigai.
Ikigai.
Right? You find. So if you find your ikigai, which is your passion, and it also allows you to earn some money and also allows you to grow in the industry and be recognized for that, and that's your passion, so you by inherently you are able to service and get into that business. I think that's what I found. I also strayed away. It's not that I was always there in Flexo, but I realized I strayed away twice. So I went into paper and pulp with Solanus, and then I went into, in those days, Kodak, because as a packaging business they were setting up. But again, with Kodak, I was there again because there's a new technology of Flexo that came in.
Okay.
Flexel NX. So that was 2009, 2010, after DuPont. So it's not that I was always there, but I strayed. But then I found that my calling is Flexo. I need to get back there because the industry is growing and I can contribute to the industry. So I think that's the most important thing when you going back to your question is if the person, whether he's a young graduate, engineer or whoever, understands that where is his niche that he can contribute to and what's his passion, right? So the passion and the niche and the segment that he wants to serve in, they come together. Just
if
like
you can map it well.
If you map it well, just like as in Ikigai, right? So you find your sweet spot. I think that's, of course, it might take for some people 2 years, for some people 20 years.
Sure.
Like for me, it probably took 10 years, but then I came back and then I said, hey, no, I think the industry needs me and I need to be here because the industry has given me a lot of recognition and also the position. But I think at the end, you always want to come back and serve the industry because you can see the industry growing, and you also know that how the industry has grown, right, and through that entire I think life, where are the gaps that you can contribute to in a better way.
Right. Yeah. I want to get to your coaching, but before that, there's this question that is coming into my mind again and again. You work with mostly large multinationals, right? And any Indian companies?
The first one was an Indian company. Yeah,
so we'll stick to the fact that you work with multinationals.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to work for a multinational, what's the kind of skill sets that this young engineer needs to develop to be a part of a large multinational and grow there to be the managing director or the head of the company?
Yeah.
What's the kind of skill sets?
I think one of the biggest things that you're saying what do you need? So
the kind of skill sets.
Yeah, to excel. So I think one of the biggest thing is to try to connect, to increase your network. Yeah. So people always say network is net worth, and I think that's pretty important because if you are a technical person getting into a multinational, you are there because you're a technical person.
Correct.
Right, but and they value you for that. So that's a given.
Right.
But if you increase your networking skills by maybe connecting to the marketing team or sales team or even product manufacturing or even to R&D, you increase your horizon, you widen your horizon. The other instance is also connecting with the finance team, for example, or planning team, which normally are behind a wall.
Right.
So I think if you increase that connectivity, that growth is seen as a much larger way of increasing your horizon and also growing in career. Right?
So I think the takeaway would be networking is very key.
Absolutely.
या crude language में बोले तो जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. You have to be connected with people. They should know you.
Yes.
In the entire ecosystem, like large organizations where we worked in DuPont,
Correct.
where there are like few tens of thousands of employees. If people don't know you, it's very difficult, even no matter how good you are, to grow in an organization.
And this happened with me. I mean, till 2008, I was a technology guy. I mean, I still am a technical guy, but inherently. But till 2008, I was,
focused on my work.
You can say you're wearing those, the wipers on your eyes, and you're not seeing anything outside your world. And it used to happen to me. And I used to think Flexo and technical or technology is the only thing for me, and I'm very focused on that. But that was when I did my management studies with IIM Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So I did my PGPX part-time, and again I was still working in DuPont at that point of time, and then did that through taking weekends off and studying during the weekend.
Nice.
And I used to take the train from Bombay to Ahmedabad, Borivali to yeah. Nice. But that exposure allowed me to suddenly widen my horizon, saying, hey, okay, and you meet different kind of people, right? So and then you realize, hey, there's a world outside Flexo, there's a world outside technology.
Correct.
But maybe you can learn some things from them.
Get inputs and stick to your core.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So you touch based on education, and this is some question that I hear from youngsters. कि मैंने graduation तो कर लिया, Sujit, should I do my post graduation? Should I do some further studies? So I have had my own views about it. What are your views? What do you think about further education?
So I think again based on the personal capability. and the inclination. Today I have a son who's 24 and a daughter who's 20, and
You're facing that.
yeah. But as a coach, what you do is also you map their capabilities. You understand what is their inclination towards, right? And then you get them involved in that kind of study or work, and so on and so forth. Today's generation, I think they're pretty clear about what they want to do, right?
I'm sure they're much more. The access to information
is very high, so they're very clear. I would still say yes, given an opportunity to get first-hand experience in the industry, always allows you to get a little more deeper understanding of your industry, right? So, I mean, for example, you can be a chemical engineer, but you just after finishing your chemical engineering, you do your MBA, and then after doing your MBA, you join an IT company. Chemical engineering just goes somewhere else, right? You probably will use those theories, but even 1 year of exposure to having some kind of exposure to the chemical hardcore
manufacturing
gives you a lot of deeper understanding of the business.
I'm totally in alignment with you that you need to have, though I did not, I just finished my engineering, did my MBA and then went working, but I think one should.
But you're doing that now. You're so deep rooted into technology.
It kind of worked for me. So like your coaching part, I mean, tell us more. What is this entire thing about coaching and how it has helped you? So that's something I'm personally very interested about.
So like I said, in 2008, when I got into this part-time MBA, that allowed me to widen my horizon, and then there was also an inner exploration of the human psyche. Say, why do people behave in this manner? And then during my stint in Shanghai when I was in DuPont, it was also one of the key things which any boss I think today faces is retention, keeping people back in the job. And it was nothing new for me as well. It was there. But the idea was, how do you retain your people? And one of the things that came out during discussion was that the one way to retain them is to give them a roadmap, which is more practical. And I think, like I told you, in DuPont we had a core competency roadmap.
Right.
What we didn't have was a kind of a functional competency roadmap, because packaging or Cyril packaging business was a pretty small business compared to DuPont as a global business, although very high in profits, very profit-making business.
True.
We then figured out, okay, what happens if you take a young person who joins your company? He's a graduate or even a postgraduate or even a PhD, and what kind of a roadmap can you give him? So either does he grow into sales or marketing or technology or goes into supply chain, So that also allowed us to understand, how do you map this? And that's how when I was talking to the HR team, we got to understand more about people mapping, right? Understanding what is their inner psyche, and this is where the psychometric tests helped us to understand which way can they go. And after a couple of years, because the curve of young people like 18 to 21 or 21 to 25, it's pretty short. So within 3 years you can change your mindset pretty fast, right? But as you start growing older, let's say 35 to 40, there's a 5-year period where you change your mindset, and then it goes from 40 to 47, 45, 47, and 50 to 60. Right? So, but in that age, that age when they join an organization, they can change their mindset very quickly. So what you need to do is help them understand where are they going and give them a roadmap.
Give them a direction.
So that's how it started, and then I started understanding what is a psychometric test. So I said, okay, as an engineer, I said, what does it mean? How do you do psychometric tests? So I got more educated in that. I started educating myself in that. That's where the journey started.
Okay.
It didn't end there, because even when I moved out of DuPont, came back to India, and I was with Winmola Holscher, I was still understanding the people's psyche. And then I realized that one of the key things, like I go back to, is connecting with people, is to understand, how can you help develop your team. Right. And that's where the coach in me came out, I think. But being an engineer, I always thought that if you're educated in understanding how you can develop people, it's more better. So I started educating myself or learning new things in coaching.
to become a professional coach.
To become a professional coach. So
Nice.
I got certified in psychometric tools like eDisc, and then I'm also a Gallup strength
nice.
finder coach, and I'm also an ICF PCC coach, and just recently I qualified as an executive coach from John Matten.
Lovely.
Yeah. Besides doing my NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, and masters in NLP as well. So all these are tools in the end.
Right.
These are tools.
Yes.
But then you've got to apply this to the people and say, how can we help develop this?
Right.
And that's where my intrinsic, I think, nature is to help develop the person or people or a team. That's how the coach in me was born.
So how would you put it for a person who's listening to this कि मुझे कोचिंग की ज़रूरत है क्या? मैं तो मुझे सब कुछ आता है, जनरली ये मिड लाइफ क्राइसिस जो बोलते हैं,
Yes.
and jobs में ना 35 to 45, I mean if you've not really risen fast, it's very difficult to go, and I think that's the time where a person needs coaching. So how would you advise people, how should they go about and things
So
like that?
I think the first thing for people to understand is that coaching and mentoring are two different things.
Okay,
Yeah, they're two very separate things.
tell us more.
So mentoring is, for example, I can be a mentor for a person who is in the flexographic printing industry because I have the innate subject matter expertise, right? As a coach, you don't need the subject matter expertise. You're just there with the person and you're in the journey, partnering with that person in their journey to make a better version of themselves. I always have this example of when you go back to your childhood, in our childhood at least. So when you started learning to how to cycle a bicycle, you would start cycling, and you would either have your father or your elder brother holding the back of the cycle, right? That's the coach, right?
He's not cycling, or they are not cycling.
They're not cycling, but he's just holding it.
Yeah.
And then after a certain period of time, you get the confidence that you can now cycle on independently. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking that person is holding on to the cycle. Yeah. But when you turn back and see, he's not there anymore. That's the job of a coach.
Okay. Nicely put.
Yeah. But as a mentor, you are there with the person and you can even direct and even tell them what to do. The coach does not give a solution. A mentor gives a solution.
Okay.
Right? A mentor will say, okay, I think this job is good for you because this is good for where you're coming from, what's your background. And so he's not going to go deeper into your psyche. The coach works from the inner you and works from there and say, what is good for you? And you need to realize what is good for yourself. I'm not going to tell you as a coach what's good for you. I'm going to give you a way, show you the way so you can find your own solution.
Right.
Because every person intrinsically is different.
Right.
We might all come from the same college or the same degree or the same background, but we have different experiences in life.
Right.
And these experiences in life change us.
Right.
And they also change our beliefs.
Right. Can I add that, I've been also reading a little bit on coaching of lately.
You ask very good coaching questions. I've seen your podcast and your questions are very deep, very good.
Thanks for that. So I have just been reading of late. I always thought this question is more for my personal thing. कि यार मुझे तो सब आता है, मेरे को सामने वाला क्या बताएगा? That was where I was coming from.
Yeah.
Then I realized when I was reading, Roger Federer needs a coach.
Yes, exactly.
Cristiano Ronaldo needs a coach.
Yes.
Then who are we?
Yeah.
Those guys who are playing at that level of excellence,
Correct.
Even they need a coach. And that's when I realized, coach plays a very important role.
Yes.
And I'm in my personal journey or pursuit of finding a coach with whom I can align. So, I mean, when I spoke to you earlier, I realized that, this is one thing which needs to be ticked in my box for this year. Yeah. So, coaching is something I think is very intrinsic for every individual, no matter where you are in your life. Right. Probably a young engineer or someone very high up.
So, anybody can have a coach at any age.
Probably everyone should have a coach.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone should have a coach.
Because a coach is truly partnering with the person. Correct. Without any bias.
Correct.
The coach doesn't have a bias.
Correct.
The coach's job is to be there with the person, to go deeper with that person and be a part of that person's journey, to be a better version of that person.
Correct.
Right? So, and that's how you rightly said. I mean, even a Roger Federer needs a coach.
Correct.
So there is a book, for example, it's called The Inner Game of Tennis, right?
I don't know.
So there's a book, and this is one of the first books we read as a coach. Yeah, what is it? So because when you play, most of the time it's your muscle memory and your mindset that's playing.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to go through the entire rigmarole of training and all
Correct.
that. So, but when you read that book, you understand what is a psych, and what psych makes you sure that you are not going to get vindicated by an opponent,
Right.
and not get down and say, keep up your game.
Correct.
Keep your game inside. Keep it up.
Yeah, actually, I also want to add here, the first coach that I took, I play squash. So the first coach I took was, I thought like, zarurat nahi, I'm not a professional, kya zarurat hai, I don't need a coach. But then one of my friend insisted, and chalo, we'll take a coach. So we had a coach for a while, and we still have the coach. So this guy, so he's standing outside, and he's the guy, like you very nicely explained, that he's just holding the bicycle, he's not pedaling for you. So he told me, Sujit, you're going way too close to the wall.
Yeah.
You just have to be just 1 feet away. You can save so much more energy. And let me tell you, it improved my game by leaps and bounds.
Correct.
That just one, he was sitting out and told me, you're going way too close to the wall.
Yeah.
You're in that urge you'll give a good shot, you don't need to go that close.
Correct.
So that's what a coach does.
Yeah, exactly. Following the same book, Inner Game of Tennis, there's a book called Inner Game of Golf.
Okay.
I play golf.
Written by the same?
Yeah, and I'm an avid golfer.
You play golf? Oh,
yeah.
lovely.
And one of the things that you learn, there's a reason also why I took on golf more, because it's also very technical and it's also very deep psych. So you start.
That's what all the CEOs play.
Yeah, I think it's a sport in the end, and I think because when you're playing golf, you're competing with yourself, right? You're not competing.
It's a
really.
very mental game.
It's a very mental game.
I've never played.
Yeah, so it's a very mental game. You're competing with yourself, how you get better, right? Each game that you get. So there's a lot of inner theory, inner mind working that is being done before you come to start playing, right? And so even the best golfers, for example, will make sure that they train for the first 2 or 3 or 4 hours before they come to play on the course, right? So
what kind of training is that? Mental training?
It's a drill. It's a drill, right? So you get on driving range, and then you practice your swings, and you know where you're hitting, so you get your muscle memory right, and you get your calculations right, which way is the wind blowing, etc.
Okay.
So there's a lot of drill that's required. But yes, even they have coaches.
Okay.
And
I'm sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they have coaches. They have a team. I mean, not just a medical coach, but a coach who's helping them train mentally.
Yeah, I think coaching is great profession as well, and it is also helping individuals. And I see the top CEOs having personal coaches.
Yes.
And the sports people, all those professionals, so surely have. We all know.
Yeah.
I mean, the best of players in the world are having it.
Yeah. So the reason I got into coaching was exactly like you said. As in managing director, I did not have. I mean, because the buck stops with you. You don't have anywhere to go.
Right.
You've got to make some important decisions, or you need to know where to go. That's when I started exploring having a coach, and I actually hired coaches to be my coach.
Nice.
And halfway through the journey, those coaches came back, and then they said, one of them actually said that, "Hey Suhas, I think you've got a lot in you, that maybe you should become a coach." That's how it
That's
started.
nice. I'm sure it's a good way of giving back to the society, to people in general, because
Exactly.
people who understand this emotionally can deliver a good, if I may call a service. I don't know if that's the right
it
term.
is a service. It's a service to humankind.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And there are so like my mentor coach, the person who actually I trained under. He also has a one-to-many coach. A one-on-one coaching is normally what we do, and one-to-many is where you have several people we can coach together.
I think these young engineers who want to choose a profession, that's where this conversation started.
Yes.
They probably can get in touch with coaches like
exactly.
you,
Absolutely.
who are who can probably not give a one-to-one coaching. It might be financially expensive, but at least you can get on a one-to-many, and it can be a good experience to know what you want to do in your life.
Exactly. So that's what we did during COVID times when people were all stuck, and along with my mentor coach, we forwarded kind of an NGO which is called Tava Mitram. Tava Mitram is your friend, right? Your friend, which is one-to-many coaching.
Nice.
And it benefited a lot of people, because they were stuck in life and saying, where is this life going? And we were able to work with people a lot during that time.
So you are like on the other side of 50.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yes. So ये midlife crisis जो है, and where people find it difficult कि अभी you become a managing director. Most people don't. They kind of get stuck in that middle management. तो आप क्या सोचते हो कि क्या कारण है कि आप you get stuck there? Why don't you get onto those roles? And how should a person recalibrate or present himself in a way that he could grow into those kind of roles?
Yeah, I think the first is to understand yourself a little bit more better. You become a more aware person, right? As a coach, we help our client to be more aware of themselves, right? And not just show their strengths and weaknesses as a blind spot. But the idea is to help them become more aware of what are their areas that they could probably work on. And also, going back to the old where we said networking, right? Using these two things, you also understand where are the areas that you probably think you're not yet ready for. Yes. Some people think that can have the notion that you're ready for the role, and there's also coaching for that. So how do you make a person ready for the role, right? And once you get there, what do you need to do? Like there's a 30, 60, 90 days, which is pretty much a part of large organizations. Many organizations still don't have that. But if you have a very nice, clear roadmap on saying what I need to do, both in profession and personally, to get there, so that I'm doing the best I should be doing in that role, it will help you a lot. So I don't know if I answered your question.
I was just waiting for you to go there. I think anyone who's stuck in a job should think of was you go meet a coach and see कि कहाँ पे you can find some direction. That's probably the short answer to the question, which I could understand. Because even if I'm stuck in my business in terms of scaling up, कुछ मुझे एक जगह से दूसरे जगह जाना and I'm not being able to figure out. I think I need to speak to someone and get some new perspective.
Correct.
Because when you keep doing the same thing, you will get the same result.
Yeah, and like I said, the coach is actually going to show you a mirror.
Unbiased.
Yeah, it's an unbiased. He's going to show you a mirror. Whether you want to see that mirror or not is up to you, right? So, and going back to that question, saying क्या मुझे coach की ज़रूरत है? I think it's also important to understand that maybe not everyone is coachable, and sometimes you get to realize that. Maybe, okay, somebody who's 30, 35 right now, he probably might be okay to get a coach. There are people who are 40, 45 and they think, I don't need a coach.
Yeah.
But you give them that space after a period of time.
That's the personal choice.
Yeah. I have people who come back to me after 3 years. Say, hey Suhas, we did that 3 years back and I want to reconnect with you, and now can we start that sessions again? So it happens.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I would certainly advocate anyone who is, in any kind of dilemma in their life, either professionally or personally, should speak to people, and coaching is a great
and it's not just when you're in dilemma. I think it's when you want to be a better version of yourself.
True. I think that's a better way of putting it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. People who have, like you said, people who are stuck.
Yeah.
Right. So what next?
Yes.
And that's where the box opens up, and the coach allows you to explore that and open that box.
Right. So as 32 years, I will not be able to do justice in 30-40 minutes. Impossible. So, we've already done 30-40 minutes. So I've got a couple of more questions.
Sure.
So I'm asking you, have I missed out on something? Because there will be so much more. We can probably sit and talk so long. We have a lot of other connections as well. So मैं वो सब जगह पे जा ही नहीं रहा हूँ. But is there something that you want to share as your insights towards the end for the listeners?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is find your niche. Come back to what you're passionate about. Do that. There might be people who might say, hey, you could have done this better, and you probably might have been comfortable there, but remember that there will be some discomfort, so it's okay to get through that, out of your comfort zone, and then run after your passion. It's okay. Not everything will be comfortable.
Correct.
So you will go through a learning curve, you will go through discomfort, and not just you, probably people around you,
Right.
your family,
Right.
or so you have to take them with you.
Right.
And I think the best way to do that is to share your passion with them and let them know that this is what I want to do.
Right.
That's one. And I think given the fact that today in our technology, Flexo is as a technology also growing, still growing.
Right.
The next best thing that Flexo is able to deliver today is all the solutions for sustainability.
Right.
And that's again very, very close to my heart.
Yeah.
When we spoke about paper and
True.
molded pulp and all that. There's a lot that can happen in that space.
Sure.
And there's a lot of opportunities there. So today when youngsters come and say, what's the opportunity for us? I think there's still a huge opportunity in Flexo,
True.
huge opportunity in
True.
sustainable
True.
packaging.
True.
And the world is there to take them. There's no limits.
Yeah, actually, I got 2 points from that and through the conversation. One is, take risk, which you did when Flexo was new.
Yeah.
वो पता नहीं अभी आज तो ठीक है, you can say that was it is big now, but तभी तो शायद it could have just died down, but you took that risk. And second is follow your passion, which you have been following for so many years. You strayed. It is okay to stray, but then identifying your area of passion and just sticking to it and at it, which brought you to where you are today, heading a large organization, and that is probably what people need to be.
I spoke to
looking
my
at.
boss at that point of time, and I told him, hey, and he was one of my best bosses I've had in my life, and he's still there. He's retired, but he's like a mentor to me, not a coach, but as a mentor. So he was the one who told me, probably, Suhas, what's your core competency? That's what is your true calling.
Yeah.
And you need to listen to the message the universe is giving you, and then follow that.
Yeah. Lovely conversation. Personally, it's very insightful for me as well. I'm sure it would be helpful for the listeners.
Sure.
Last 2 questions. One is we ask our guests for references. Whom do they think would be interesting guests on our future podcast? So some names for us, please, from your...
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think 2 names that come up to me straight away is one of the persons whom I've seen in our industry as well, who went on to become the CEO also of a very large flexible packaging company, and also then became a coach himself, a certified coach. He's a master certified coach, and also now is a coach to coaches.
Acha.
So he's done that level as well.
Oh.
C.N. Murthy, that's his name.
Nice.
He's an IIT Kharagpur pass out, old.
I'll take his contact. I don't know him.
But he's amazing. He's retired now, but he still is a very avid coach. He's a coach to coaches. Still practices that very well.
Nice.
Again, coming from our industry, of course. And the second person I would say is one of the persons I was with in my second job in Goa when we set up the plant. And he's also grown through the, I would say, the ranks, right from grassroots level to now he's a CEO. Vinay Nalavade is his name. He's the CEO of Parak Flexipack.
Perfect.
He single-handedly turned around that business from negative to now I think more than 300 crores.
Lovely.
Yeah. So, and I think there's a lot of learning and journey there.
Sure.
Maybe they will be able to share more.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you see, business कम लोग करते हैं.
Yeah.
नौकरियों में there are like probably 100x more people, and these people have to grow, and people get stuck. So you guys are the right, role models for people. अरे सुहास कर सकता है, why not me? We are not like coming with silver spoon, right? हम basic middle class families, education को सुहास क्या I can also think of, I can aspire to, and that's what the entire objective is.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for those names. And last is for us, on how we could do better. You've been through the podcast for the last 30-40 minutes. What is your experience, and what would you like to suggest to us?
No, I think you're doing a very good. I think the role that you're playing is to have people share their experiences. Right.
That's what the whole idea is.
And I think it's a very welcome thought.
And record it. For future generations. As long as YouTube is alive.
Exactly. And believe it or not, there were times during COVID many people would have thought about this, right? So I, for one, I still want to have a flexo-focused discussion even now. and I'm trying to see how we can grow that forward by having a Flexo Summit and be a part of that team to grow that.
That's nice. You should.
So you probably can have a podcast on Flexo, maybe.
Yeah.
But what you're doing today is a great thing, and I think it's also a great way of connecting the industry together.
Yeah.
And connecting the dots
Yes.
in the industry helps also to increase.
So what actually happens ना, हम लोग अपने silos में रहते हैं, है ना, एक प्रिंटर या एक पेपर डीलर या एक इंक सप्लायर या एक मैन्युफैक्चरर, उसको लगता है मेरा दुनिया इधर ही है. नहीं, the industry is probably the second, third largest in your country.
Yeah, correct.
Come on, let's become large. Let's
Absolutely.
be like the Reliances and the Adanis. Why are we in a 20, 50, 100 crore? Why can't we like a 10,000 crore? सोचेंगे तो वहाँ पहुँचेंगे ना.
Exactly.
हम बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं.
So there are coaches who also help to do that. So
Scale.
like scale up your business.
Exponential thinking.
Yeah. So one of the person I play golf with, he's a business coach. So each coach has its own niche, right? So I'm an executive coach because I focus on people development and career.
Right.
There are people who are life coaches, which they go more deeper into people.
Emotional.
And then there are business coaches who help organization go from 10x, 3x, 10x, 5x, in the next 3-5 years. They can help you. And there are transformation coaches as well, right? What helps you to get the organization transformed.
Sure.
So why not? And the industry, that's why I say there are, I've dealt with the industry. We see converters, customers who are starting small and they grow to 20, 30, 40, 50 crores, and sometimes they think ठीक है, हो गया अभी,
कर लिया, पैसे बना लिए, मैंने एसेट बना लिया, अच्छा घर बना लिया, ढंग की गाड़ी में घूम रहा हूँ, और क्या चाहिए?
But I think there's a lot more you can do.
They are limiting our thought because हमको पता ही नहीं है.
Yeah, exactly. So you should be able to grow.
So as a friend, I'm telling you, we are still in the podcast. You can cut it if you don't want to put it.
Yeah.
मैं किसी को बोलता हूँ to invite them to the podcast, and they're like, हम बहुत low profile है. बोला, sir, low profile, man. Unless you come and share, and you can also get a perspective to your own business.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, great. Suhas, I think on this note we should close the conversation. It's been long, 30-40 minutes. We try, for my team I have this thing, Sujit, ज़्यादा बात मत कर, please 30 minutes में बंद कर दे.
But thanks for having me.
Thanks.
It's good having this discussion.
Pleasure.
Thanks for recording this as well.
Yeah, pleasure.
And I'm sure somehow it will help the industry and
Absolutely.
also.
It will. It will. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sujit.
Thank you.